All right. Hello, everyone. I'm not sure if you can see me. It'd be great if maybe in the chat, if you can just let me know if I'm visible and if you can hear me. That would be great. Thank you. Hey, awesome. I can see the chat. Great. I've never done this before, so I hope it goes well. I mean, I've barely even attended other webinars, so I'm going to do my best, and I hope it doesn't totally fall apart. Ah, all right. Oh, wow. Okay. Seattle and London. I'm in New Zealand. Um, I live in Auckland, New Zealand, but I'm originally from South Africa. So if you're wondering, I have a South African accent, not really a New Zealand accent, but there are some similarities. Okay, I think we'll just wait, 2 or 3 minutes for more people to come on. It's quite a big group. I was actually quite surprised by how many people registered. I originally was going to just do a Zoom meeting where we could, I could have up to 100 people, but I had to upgrade that to a sort of a webinar where you can have more than that. But it's exciting. I like to do new things. All right. Hello from Canada. It's two people from Canada. That's great. At the end, there'll be time for questions. I'm going to go through a few bits and pieces, but at the end, there'll be time for questions and answers and all of those kinds of things. You can just put them in the chat. I think there should be a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, which you should be able to click on and ask questions. But I'm not really sure which one will work better. The chat one might be better, or the Q&A one. We'll just have to see how it goes. Wow, Carmen. Carmen's from Alaska, but currently in a name I can't pronounce in Mexico. And Lynn from Detroit. Zihuatanejo, Mexico. I'm not sure if that's right. Okay. Wow. So if you haven't, maybe you don't know me, we haven't chatted or anything like that, but I'm Damon. Um, and should let us see each other. The demands of Lynn. I can't, it would be chaos. If I let everybody see each other, it would be chaos. I think that would be just too difficult. Um, a few from California. We're going to actually be in Los Angeles for a book fair in March next year. Really looking forward to it. Never done anything like that before. So really, kind of the idea is to really, with this webinar and with the conference, is to really meet people. Um, you can't see anybody else's comments. All right, but maybe I think I can probably change that. Hold on a second. Let me see. Hmm. I know I can see everybody's comments. I think you might. I'm not sure if you're able to uh, change it to everyone. Let me see. Only. Oh, we can only see hosts and panelists. Let me see if I can change that. I don't think I can change that while I'm. Oh wait, attendees can chat with anyone. There you go. I changed that. I don't know if you can see it, but you should be able to see. Is the book fair for self-published books and authors? I think anybody can go. I will send more information closer to the time. But I mean, yeah, it's open to everyone. I know there's a lot of publishers going. Um, it's a few days. I think it's 4 days, so yeah, I think anyone can go and look. I'll put out more information closer to the time, a little bit more. Yeah, that's it, Andrew. Thanks for that. AWP. Well done. I couldn't remember it. I was just trying to talk through that. Okay, I think we're gonna get started. Hello, everybody. So the first thing I need to do is I'm going to share another screen here. Hopefully, it doesn't break everything. Let's see. Um, and I'm going to put myself small in the corner. I think that should work. Um, all right. So hopefully you can see my screen. Um, great. For me, my screen is super small, and I'm trying to see how I can make it bigger so that I can see what I'm saying. But I think it should be all right. All right. So, firstly, thanks everyone for coming. This is a webinar about book cover trends for 2025. I'm going to go through all of this, talk a little bit about um, myself, kind of where we came from, and then there'll be some questions at the end. So, firstly, I think these are going to be the book cover trends for 2025. Of course, I might be wrong, but this is definitely something that I've, noticed. It's not just me, but I've noticed over the last. Firstly, it's not just me, and it's not just 2025. These are trends that have been going on for the last few years, and they're just ramping up a little bit more. So, first things first, a little bit about us. So, Demonza was started in around about 2012. And initially it was just me. I did a little bit in 2011 as well. But basically it was just me. I came from a normal graphic design background for a design agency in South Africa. We actually did mainly sports related graphic design. So we had some sports brands as our big clients. And I started doing cover design kind of on the side. I just I was always interested in it, and it was the kind of style of design that suited me because I had quite strong Photoshop skills specifically. So kind of didn't really have to come up with clever ideas so much as be able to implement simple concepts, quickly, right? So I was quite strong in just Photoshop manipulation, Photoshop skills. Um, so I started doing that, and eventually it just grew. I then left the job that I had at the design agency and just started doing the book covers on my own full time. And initially it was difficult, sorry, because I was doing my day job was the normal graphic design, and I was working till 2 or 3 a.m. every morning just doing book covers. Um, so eventually I left the design company and focused exclusively on book cover design. And over time it grew until I had to start employing, yeah, more people, more designers. And after that, the admin just became a nightmare. So I had to start looking at project managers. And, now 12, 13 years later, here we are doing this webinar. So thank you very much for joining me today. Again, if you have any questions about kind of that and how it started, we can get to that at the end. So we've designed over 12,000 covers, and we are currently doing over 100 covers per month. Sometimes it goes up to 150. It's chaotic a lot of the time. It's getting more difficult to keep up. So we kind of are definitely looking for new designers at the moment all the time. I've got a job ad out here. The problem with finding new designers is always um, book cover designers is a very kind of specialized skill. So a lot of designers that are good at certain things are just not good at book cover design. Whether it's the implementation of the or the combination of the text with the imagery, or they might be skilled illustrators, but when it actually comes to designing a book that is effective and will work in a commercial sense, that's challenging. But we are looking, we're trying, and hopefully I'll be able to find somebody soon. So why this webinar? Well, it actually I kind of started with the book cover review service that I started offering in March. So that's the if you don't know about it, that's the free book cover review service um, where I look at existing book covers and kind of just see, how will they work in the market? Can they be improved? Um, if so, where can they be improved? What needs to be done, and all of those kinds of things. And what I found was, well, as part of that service, I every book that comes in, I compare it to the bestsellers or popular books within that genre, right? So constantly I'm looking at these other covers in those specific genres every day. For every review, look and see what's out there. How does this cover that I'm reviewing compare to all of these covers that are popular in the genre, whether it's most read or newly released, or all of those. And I'm really most of the time looking on Goodreads, right, at those. And there's definitely trends, right? So you're definitely kind of seeing if you look on Goodreads and you see what the new releases are from the traditional publishers as well as self-published authors, there are definitely directions in the way that these covers designs are going, which are a little bit different from where they were a year or two ago. So with that in mind, this is what's happening. And now, firstly, this is my opinion. I'm mainly talking about fiction, although there is some um, cross-pollination with nonfiction. And they're not rules, right? These are just trends that I've noticed. So the first one is that everything's bright and colorful, right? Um, it started on romance, but it's not only romance, right? So if you look at these romance covers as an example, so this is just a selection that I've taken to kind of show what I'm talking about. But I'm sure you already know. I mean, you've seen these, right? So that's very colorful. But in case you think I'm just sort of cherry picking, um, I wanted to show the Goodreads most read this week page, right? So these are the covers on Goodreads that are most read this week in the contemporary romance category, specifically these ones. But it gives you a good idea, right? But if you look at young adult contemporary as well, you know, there's not quite as much brightness, but there is still a lot of brightness, right? So, I mean, I circled the ones that I kind of obviously to make them more obvious, but you can see what I mean. But even if you look at mystery, right? So mystery is traditionally a relatively dark genre, and it still is dark. It still is dark, but even the dark covers are punctuated with these splashes of bright color. If you look at psychological thrillers, it's the same. There is darkness to them. I mean, since it will be probably a dark story, but the splashes of color against that darkness are really what bring that out. So it's not only dark. It's not only dark and mysterious and all of those kinds of things. There's this brightness of color that's really going through everything. Um, Epic fantasy, right? I mean, I just went through a few genres just for you to kind of show you what I mean. I couldn't go through everything. And of course, it isn't all books, right? It doesn't have to be that way for all covers. It's just a trend that's happening. I guess you could say that the percentages of these very, very colorful covers within all genres are increasing. Uh, Even historical fiction, right? I mean, it's 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 uh, it's happening everywhere. Women's fiction, right? Again, very, very bright colors all over the place. And even when they're not bright colors, there's brightness against the dark background that there might be. And even with literary fiction, which is traditionally relatively subdued in terms of color, there are these bright illustrations coming through. Symbolism over people, right? So it's not so much no people, but I'm finding that there's less significance in the way people look, right? So you might have people on book covers. That's you may have people, but you're kind of seeing less of them. It's always been the case for many genres that the faces might be hidden, right? So that's for people that authors want readers to imagine what this character may look like. But in the past, they've that's been um, maybe 30% of the time we would do that. But now what's happening is that it's just more often that you're not seeing these characters, or there's more of a symbolic representation of people. So, I mean, no faces all the time, right? So these are across different fiction genres. If you can see what I mean, I'm not sure. Can you? Oh, I don't think you can see my mouse. Um, all right, but I mean, this is just an example. All right, more illustration. Okay, this one is happening. This is crazy, and I mean, I'm personally, I'm not such a big fan of it, but across all genres, there's more illustration, less photorealism that's happening. So it's not all the time, but it is certainly happening, and in combination with the bright colors, the that's what you. Oh, sorry, let me go back. Um, that's what we're seeing all the time. So just to have a look at these options over here. Now, again, this goes across different genres. That's romance, literary fiction, horror, science fiction, thriller, mystery, historical fiction, young adult. But this is happening all over the place. Jody, why are you not a fan of illustration? I'll leave say that question for the end, and I'll let you know. But just so you can, I mean, have a look, all right? So it is really all over the place. Very large type. All right, so this is definitely a thing, and I assume it's because of the way many people are buying books online, and they're just seeing the small little thumbnail, really. But text is taking up more of the cover than it is in the past. So I kind of felt in the past the main thing was maybe you would start with a great image and then add the text afterwards to kind of make it all work. However, things are definitely changing where the text is such an integral part of the overall cover that it almost makes more sense to start with the text and with the title and or the author branding, and then kind of see how you can work the image around that. If you look at, I mean, many of these, if you look at the David Baldacci cover, the 620 man, you know, look how small that character is. Firstly, his face is hidden. You can't really see. There's an illustrated kind of style to that cover. And relative to the cover as a whole, that little dude is tiny, right? So that's the way things are going a lot of the time. Again, not all of the time, but text is very, very prominent. And I like this because I mean I enjoy working with text, which is again is why sometimes when authors change a title sort of afterwards, it can be difficult for us to work with because the title is so important and so prominent that often changing a few words of the title can change the entire design, right? Or even the way we went with the design. Um, and bear that in mind when thinking for a title. Personally, I don't like long words in titles just because they're difficult to work around. And it limits the kind of fonts that we might be able to use for that title. All right, close-up details. All right, so these would be interesting elements that would probably only be visible on printed covers because most of the time, if somebody's buying a book, an ebook, and they're only looking at that ebook cover, they're never going to look at that close up, right? They're only ever going to see it relatively small. Um, so those details that could be very interesting and enriching would only really be visible on the printed covers. So they're almost like little Easter eggs for people that buy the printed books. So this is more of a prediction that I think is happening. I mean, I've noticed it a little bit, but I think it's going to happen more. So here is an example of a cover that we actually designed. So if you look at the cover on the left, I mean, it's colorful and it's attractive and it's illustrated and all of those things that I mentioned. But there is a lot of detail that you would only see if you bought the book and looked at it close up, looked at the printed version, you know, that there's a parade happening in the street and there's crowds of people and all of those kinds of things. This is another example of a cover we designed where there's a lot of detail in the illustration that, again, kind of at first glance, you're not really noticing that much. It just looks like a pretty picture, you know, and it looks like a cover that you might want to read, a book that you might want to read based on the cover. But there's a lot of detail that actually is really only noticed when you're looking at the printed version. And the same with this option here. So it's again, you know, little details, and these are difficult to do, right? Because we're kind of focusing on the bigger picture for the most part of a book cover, and creating these little details that we, you know, to put in the printed version that most people are not going to see. You know, it almost takes as much time as creating the cover as a whole. So I believe that this is a trend that is going to happen more and more, just because just because you know, it's attractive and interesting and unusual. And even though you may not notice it in the ebook version, it really does add to the printed version. All right, animated covers. Now, again, this is another prediction. Um, and the reason why is because artificial intelligence in video is almost there, right? It's almost at a stage where it would be just easy to animate book covers or make short book trailers quickly. And in fact, some people can already do it. So we do offer animated uh, book covers. We don't use AI for it quite yet because we've tried, but it's not quite there yet. Um, but this is definitely coming. I mean, it's just going to be so easy. It will be a simple task to really just put in a cover and say, hey, animate this cover. And you're going to get these little animated videos that are all over the place. And they're interesting, they grab attention. And I think this is something that's going to happen. So look, we're trying to get this right. We're not there yet, but I do know that some authors are already doing this and to great effect. It is possible, right, at the moment, of course, to do animated trailers, but it's quite time consuming. So with the AI influence, this will become easier and less controversial because we'll be taking existing designs and just adding movement to them. And I think this is going to be something that'll be coming soon. Oh, so these are examples. I just put off, these are animated covers that we have done just to kind of give you an idea of what they look like. So the way these work generally is they'll loop. Um, I don't know. I hope this animation is coming across okay in the video. I don't know how it would render, but just to give you an idea. Um, here are a few more. So again, these are all done without AI, right? So these are all, let's say, manually animated, where we're taking the existing cover images or elements and we're adding some movement to it. It's time consuming, and the movements are all kind of quite subtle. Um, but I think we actually have done one or two um, really cool animations that have used AI, but I haven't put them here because those covers have not been revealed yet by the authors. So um, when we can get it right, and it's not so easy, but I think it will get easier. When we can get it right, I think those are going to be great. Um, all right, now in terms of these trends, it's actually not just me, which is a really quite interesting, is that this morning I received an email from Archangel that they do rights managed images, beautiful rights managed images. And they sent an email, they just sent out an email talking about trending book cover artwork. This I received this morning. Um, and I took out some of the images that they see as their trending images, just to kind of show you no faces, illustrated, bright colors, right? Or bright colors against dark backgrounds. So just to give you an idea, it isn't only me. This is definitely something that's happening. So the question is, what now, right? Considering the way the covers are changing, should you redo or refresh your existing covers? And of course not. Okay, these trends are only my opinions. There are many different styles that are successful in all genres. If your covers are working for your books and and you're happy with them and your readers are happy with them, there's no reason to change anything. And it's much more important that your book cover can sit comfortably alongside the bestsellers so that when a reader is decide or a potential reader is deciding what book am I going to buy, they're seeing your cover alongside all the covers, right? Including all those traditionally published bestsellers. And they've got to decide, right? Am I going to pay however much money I'm going to pay for your book or this other book, right? And they're looking at the cover, and within that genre, there's that you're all competing with each other. Does your cover and your book sit well next to those? And that's really all you've got to look at, in my opinion. So I always think, if you can put a lineup of your book against those book covers and just see how it looks, right? Does it fit in with that? It's sometimes difficult to do that objectively because, you also you would be very attached to your cover. But if you can, or get somebody else to do it, I think that's the way that you can really see, does your cover need to be updated or changed, all of those things. Does it fit in? If you still want to refresh, so we are going to offer a discount next year, not now, where if you have a cover designed by Demonza anytime in the past, we will, and you'd like a refresh or redesign, so we'll offer a 15% discount with this coupon code refresh15. But again, next year, if you want to, and look, I'll put this all in a newsletter and all of those kinds of things, but you guys are seeing it first, and that's what the plan is. So that's it from my side. So if you have any questions, I've already got two questions that I can see. So I think if you can use the Q&A for questions instead of the chat. So I'm going to answer this question from Leanne. So the question is, where do you think one might use the animated clip of covers? Will standard Amazon buy pages, for instance, allow them, do you think? So I don't know what Amazon's going to do in future. They already have advertising spots where you can put little animated banners on. So you may have seen it on your Amazon page, sort of below that, where people are, excuse me, are advertising their little videos of books, little book trailers. So you can already put those there. But what's happening is, I mean, people are using animated covers on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of those kind of places. Um, as cover reveals. I mean, I think it's a great idea for a cover reveal to do an animated cover. I mean, can you imagine a scene, right, for animated covers where you could have, let's say you've got a, I mean, this makes it easy, but let's say you've got a character on your cover, and you start off with the background, and the character walks into your cover, and the text comes over, and they smile or they do an action or whatever it might be. Um, that's that's almost here. I feel like within the next few weeks that might be possible, and that's what I'm hoping. Um, so yeah, so in terms of where you would put them, I would say for now mainly social media, but it's certainly possible in future that Amazon will allow animated covers as part of your own page. Videos. I don't think they allow video content as part of your page, but I don't see why they wouldn't in future. All right. Let's see. From Lisa, for someone who has a series, do you think book cover trends will change so quickly, it'll be difficult for the look of series covers to stay the same? I'm not worried. Again, I don't know. You know, maybe look, I don't think you have to change anything now. You don't have to rush into it. Readers are relatively forgiving. I think it's more important that if that I guess for readers of a series, once they've bought your first book and they looked at they hopefully are hooked. So I guess if you think you might need to change something, just change the first one, right? And then to see if it brings in new readers. But I don't think it's necessary to change covers now. And it is the question is it happening so quickly? No, it's not happening so quickly. That's what I was saying in the beginning, is that these trends are not new for 2025. They've already been happening. If you go back and look at the trends articles on the website from 2023 and 2024, there's a lot of similarity with what was happening then and it's happening now. Um, no, but it is going in that direction, but it doesn't happen quickly. Right? That's not a quick process. Andrew, what are some tips for helping authors to work with you or designers in general better and make your process easier? I've loved working with your team and they've always created, I just want to improve. So from our side, really, really helpful are the reference covers. So if you send us reference images um, as part of your brief of the style that you like and other covers that you like, I mean, that's the most useful thing to us. And of course, the key elements. So often we'll get a brief, and obviously you're sending in the description and the key elements. Um, and the reference covers. Out of those three elements, the key elements on the reference is very important, and the reference covers. The description, of course, it's important when to know what's happening in your book. But we're really looking at those key elements and the reference covers to see what will, I guess, what we think is best for the cover, but also what we're able to do. Sometimes we get briefs or requests or elements that are just impossible for us to create using stock photos. So, we do our best, or otherwise it might be something where an author wants to create a particular scene which is really complicated and ultimately it just complicates things, just makes the cover unfocused. So yes, so Andrew, if you can send us the more reference covers that you can send would be better, and just take real note of those key elements. All right, how many people work with you and when can we meet Robin? So Robin, you can have a video call with Robin whenever you like, because on our website, thanks, Lynn, on our website, you can you can have a call with Robin. And yeah, she's great. So how many people work with us? Currently, there are 8 of us in the team. But as I said, I'm looking for more designers. So hopefully that will be growing early next year. Will you ever bring back the prefab covers that we could customize? Uh, so this is from Miranda. Yes, we are absolutely planning on bringing those back. We are currently building a library of pre-made covers. The reason we haven't brought it back yet is because we don't have enough pre-made covers to put on the website. And we've been so busy with the custom cover design that we haven't really had enough time to do more of those. So yes, we're planning to. There is a hidden page that's all kind of set up to offer those, so it's easier to manage than it was the last time we had those, but it is not populated with enough pre-made covers yet. I'm gonna go to the chat just for a second, and I'll come back to the Q&A. From Catherine, do you ever foresee doing a social media package or templates as part of your overall package options? Again, yes, they are. The reason we don't do that really now, although we do offer a few social media options on our normal order page, the reason we don't do it now is because the way we work, the way we've always worked, is we price things. We try to price them as a sort of a set price, right? This is the price, and this is what you're going to get. And the social media packages, because there's so many different platforms and sizes and all of those kinds of things, it's difficult for us to price in that way. So again, it is something that we are doing, and we did try it for a little bit. We did have social media packages as part of our service, but it was difficult to price correctly in our current format. So we are looking at ways in which we can have more flexibility in those kind of packages so that somebody doesn't pay a set price for 10 banners when they only need 5 banners or 6 banners or whatever it might be. So yes, we do foresee doing social media packages and templates, but we just haven't quite figured out how to make that work. A question from Marcy. You use the refresh cover service, been a fantastic help and bump in sales for a book of a catalog of titles and one by one. Oh, sorry, this isn't a question. This is a comment. All right, great. I'm glad, Marcy, that the refresh has helped for you and it gave you the sales bump. Yes, it's not just a marketing boost, but it shows readers you're taking care of your books, updating sends and issues. Thank you. Yes. All right. Jennifer, can we ask to have the designer who designed a specific Demonza cover? Yeah, of course you can. 100%. So yes, if you like a Demonza cover and you want the designer who did that cover specifically, then yeah, you can absolutely ask for it. There's no, yeah. I mean, that's what we do most of the time. So if you're sending reference covers and those reference covers include covers that we've designed, then we will mostly try to allocate your cover to that designer. Mimi, shout out to Claire. She's been very helpful, prompt. Yeah, Claire's great. So Claire and Robin are our two project managers. Yeah, they're fantastic, super helpful. Love having them. Amazing at what they do. Yeah, patient, helpful. Thanks. So thanks, Mimi. I'll pass your message on to Claire. Richard Davis. Is it more important that your cover match the new trend or the best-selling books in your subgenre? So yeah, it needs to match the best-selling books in your subgenre, right? So those trends are trends, right? So they're shifting. Everything is shifting that way. But the main I guess the main thing I would always say to any author is make sure your cover looks like the best-selling covers in that genre. Make sure your cover looks like those covers because anybody who's look, those best-selling books are bestsellers for whatever reason they might be bestsellers. They've got more people reading them, right? They've got lots and lots and lots of people reading those books. And when you're putting your book up for sale, you want all of those people that read that bestseller book to go, oh wow, this new book that you've written looks like this other book that I really, really enjoyed. And there's lots of people, right, that have read that other book. So you want it to look like that book to send the message that if they enjoyed that book, they'll enjoy your book, right? That's the subconscious message there. And yes, so 100% Richard, I would say it's more important that your um I just made a mistake there. It's more important that your cover looks like the best sellers in that subgenre than the way these trends are going. But ultimately, they will all be going in the same direction, right? What is your favorite genre to design a cover in? What is your most popular genre that you have the most designs in? It's from Megan. Uh, well, as a company, we design in all genres. I would say we probably do fantasy and mystery, suspense, thrillers more than anything else. I think that's just probably from sort of through word of mouth and those kinds of things. Um, so we probably do, that's probably the most popular genre that we personally do. Favorite genre? I don't really have a favorite genre so much. Um, when it comes to traditional publishers, we probably do more sort of mystery and suspense than anything else. I guess that's probably a favorite, but I mean, I don't really. They're all different, right? They all bring their own challenges and interesting bits and pieces. Non-fiction is often quite fun, to come up with some little clever idea that's simple, and quick to understand. If you could work with any author, this is from an anonymous attendee. I didn't even know you could do anonymous chat questions. All right, silly question. If you could work with any author, living or dead, and design or redesign all of their covers, who would you choose and why? Wow. I don't really have a I've never thought about it. I don't really have I don't think I can even answer. I don't know. So I guess that the question, I don't I don't have a desire really to work with any specific author. I kind of don't see it in that way. I like working on kinds of books, I guess. Books where we have a um not so much where we have unlimited freedom to do whatever we want. So I guess covers where the author has a clear direction of what they want, but allows us to use our expertise to interpret that direction, right? I think that's probably the favorite kind of book I like, cover that we like to work on. So I wouldn't really choose any specific. I guess it's more about the kind of brief that we're getting and the kind of project that the author wants more than a specific book that we would design a cover for. I don't know if that makes sense. Lisa, have you considered expanding the Monza to offer book marketing service, or are you just keeping the main thing the main thing? Um, no, so we're not considering expanding Demonza to offer book marketing services because that's not where yeah, it's not where our expertise lies. I, I don't know how to do that. So I would have to find somebody who knows how to do that. And the problem with all of these additional kinds of services is that, so my my expertise lies in design, right? And what looks good. So as soon as we're bringing on other people who do other kinds of services, I'm always, well, how do I know if they're any good, right? How do I know if they're any good? It can only be with, the results they may have had with other people, but I always kind of find it difficult to determine in advance whether somebody's good at what they're doing if it's not in a design kind of environment. So just like any author has to, needs help with marketing services, if they do, we would need just as much help to find somebody who's able to offer that service. So for now, there's no plans to offer any kind of non-design, I guess, related services. All right. When you do a cover overhaul, do you have to change the ISBN on the title and remove the older book cover from Instagram or from Ingram or Amazon? So no, if it's the same book and the same content and the same, yeah, I guess the interior, you do not have to change the ISBN. Do you need to remove the older book cover from Ingram or Amazon? I don't know. I think when you upload it, I think it automatically replaces it. So sometimes I will, when we design a cover or do a cover upgrade or whatever it might be, and we supply the author with the final files, they'll be there the next, I'll look on Amazon and that cover will be there the next day, right? So I don't know what steps they've taken to get it up there the next day. I'm assuming that it's pretty easy to update it. Can you animate existing titles for social media or just future titles? No, we can animate existing titles. That's fine, as long as we designed it, because we kind of know how the files work. We need the layered file for now. Again, this is, let's call it pre-AI. We need the layered files in order to animate the covers. So it's helpful just if we design it so that we can animate those. I guess it's possible for us to animate books that we didn't design, but it will really just depend on what those layered files look like. Dorothy, when an author commissions a cover, is it essential to have the final page count at that time? No. No, it's not essential. So the way we work is that we design the front cover first before doing anything else, and we don't need the page count for that, right? So it is only at the end when we are laying out the print cover that we need the final page count, because that affects the spine width, right? So what's she going to do? Right, that affects the spine width, right? So we design the paperback or the jacket as one file, right? So it's the front, spine, back is one piece, and everything's lined up nicely. And if the page count changes, then the spine shifts and everything kind of shifts out. But because it's designed as one graphic, one image, it takes time. Everything has to shift, right? It's not just an easy process. So we prefer to have the final page count before we lay out the print covers, but it's not required at the beginning of the project. While Claire is a delight to work with, this is from Gary, why can't we communicate directly with our designer? It seems much more efficient that way. The reason, Gary, is because in that it's the reason why I can't get through a lot of cover design, right? Because when I'm focusing only on cover design and I don't have to sort of answer questions or switch between all of those kinds of things or deal with the author, it's easier for me to focus on cover design and I can get through it much, much quicker. When we have the project manager as an in-between kind of person, she hopefully is kind of being that buffer and answering all the questions and cutting out a lot of the admin, I guess, side, or the not admin, but I guess a lot of the things that the designer doesn't really need to know. So, or doesn't really have time to kind of deal with. So we try to have the designers focused purely on the design, not dealing with the authors because it can be distracting for the designer, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's from my side, and personally, as somebody who is also a designer, as well as a manager, it's it's much easier to be focused only on design and not actually dealing with or speaking to authors and all of that at that same time. Lisa, how do you thread the needle designers covers to fit the genre and keeping the look fresh and different? Um, yeah, so let me read that again better. How do you thread the needle from Lisa? How do you thread the needle of designing covers to fit the genre and yet keeping the look fresh and different? Well, look, every book's different, right? So every book has got different content. It's different. The key elements that we're getting are different. So we're trying to fit the genre, but each book is different because, yeah, because each book is different. So I guess that's what it is. We know what works. We sometimes what we'll find is something that really didn't quite work with one title might work with a different title. Again, what I was saying earlier about the big titles and the titles changing and the lengths of words, um, that affects the design, right? So something that could be fresh and interesting because let's say it has four short words. You can do a lot more with four short words on a title than you might be able to do with a really long one-word title. You know, it's totally different things that you do with those, and that I guess helps keep things fresh and different. Miranda, do you ever read any of your clients' books? No, never. I have never read any of the 12,000 authors books that we've designed. Um, no particular reason. I don't read a lot of books. Uh, I used to when I was younger read books all the time. I think it's just the way, I don't know, it's just the way things have changed in my life. I feel like I never have time to read a book. Um, I wish I did. Anyway, so no. However, my wife has read quite a few of the books that we've designed for, unrelated. So not actually knowing that we designed the cover or anything like that. It's just I'll be talking about a book or whatever, and she said, "Oh, I've read that." Oh, there you go. All right, Colleen. So because of the trends, is romance novel with a bare-chested man off the table? I haven't seen as many of those as I used to. I don't think anything's off the table, but yep, you're 100% right. There are far fewer of those, far fewer of those. Um, but they might be just be done differently, I guess. You know, I think, we've got a brief now that's come in recently to instead of doing a bare-chested man, they want a back view of a man on a romance book. So, we can still see the muscles. So maybe it's not so uh, overt, but yeah, so it is happening less. Um, Nothing's off the table, but I think they would be less popular. That kind of book might just be seen as more dated. But again, if your target market is older, right, maybe that would be more suitable. Maybe that would work. Seal Pain. Why would you risk antagonizing 999 writers by choosing 10 favorites from 1,000 done that year? Yeah, I don't know why I would do that. I think I'd do it. I'll tell you what, in fact, I do know why I do it. Because I'm trying to communicate with you guys, authors, and I need content. And I'm not good at creating content. So when I'm trying to think, what would people find interesting? A top 10, right? So that's why I'm doing it. It is very, very difficult. There's always unhappy people, but it's content, right? And I think people find it interesting. All right, Jody, can you talk about why you don't like illustrated covers? Yes, the reason why I don't like illustrated covers is because my personal skills are more with photo manipulation than illustration. So I find it more challenging to design an illustrated cover than a photo manipulated cover. So that's the reason, right? And I like them. I like the way they look, and sometimes it works out. But I personally have find them a challenge in designing that. Having said that, there's the designers on our team can be, great at designing illustrated covers. And when we're now looking for new designers, that is a strong focus for us, is to find designers that are good with photo manipulation as well as illustration. Do you have a creative brief you can share? Um, not right now. I guess I'd have to. This is from Peggy. I guess it may be in a newsletter. In fact, that's Peggy. It's a great idea. I'm going to make a note right here. In a newsletter, uh, idea from Peggy. In a newsletter, I'm going to send something that I would consider the ideal brief, right? Well, I'll post. So yeah, that's a great idea. I'll provide that's an ideal brief that would work for us. And then yeah, you'll get an idea of exactly what works as a brief. Uh, Claire and Robin are saintly, Miranda says. Yeah, I agree. I think they're great. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I think, oh, okay, this will be the last question from Morgan, just because, yeah, this webinar is only scheduled for an hour and there's only 5 minutes left. And I'll just finish off these last two questions quick. All right. So, Morgan, when working through the iterative process of cover design, what are you and your projects looking for and what would help the most? So the project managers, I don't know if, I mean, the cover designers really are looking for, yeah, as I said, those key elements and the reference covers are really the most important aspects of it. So I guess we get that. And then the feedback thereafter is, what did you like about the whatever it is? So if you want to change things, what did you like and what don't you like, right? So we want to make sure that whatever we're giving you later on is an improvement, all right, of what we gave you before if you weren't quite happy with it. And to make sure we're getting it right. So often I mean, not often, but sometimes what might happen is an author will come back and say, look, this isn't right, or whatever it might be, for whatever reason that they might be saying, but that kind of doesn't always help us into go, all right, well, what can we change to make it right? So it's, I guess what I mean is if you can find the positive aspects, then we know what to keep, what's working, and how to make the rest of it look like the bits that you like, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, that's it. All right. And then final question. Leanne, in recent writers groups, I've heard complaints about AI in design. Can you speak to this? Um, can. But this might need longer than this 2 minutes that I've got left. So this is AI for authors conceptually can be scary, right? Because AI, a lot of it is writing, right? And it's creativity that it's producing, generating, right? So it's not like plumbers are scared of AI, right? But writers and creative people are scared of AI, and it makes sense, and I understand it. But for readers, as long as it's not blatantly AI, readers don't even know that it's AI. They don't. It's not a thing, right? It's a concern that some writers have about AI, but it doesn't really affect readers. Having said that, I do think it's very important that the question of AI doesn't even come into the reader's mind, right? They don't think, just like an example is when a reader is looking at, or a potential reader is looking at a cover, they shouldn't be thinking, oh, where did they source this stock photo from, right? Or does that font really work with that image? Like these are not questions that a reader should be thinking, but they should just be thinking, oh, that looks like a cool book, I want to read it, right? So as long as if when AI is used, as long as it's not distracting, right? And when I say distracting, I mean clearly obvious, then I don't think there's any issue for readers. Then it's not a problem. It's not anything. So that's my opinion about AI in design. In the 2 minutes that I've had to respond. But I might do another webinar or something specifically about AI in design, I think. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate you joining me. This was quite fun. And keep in touch. And if I don't speak to you, have a good holiday season. And there will be one more newsletter coming out this year with those top 10 and final goodbyes. So that's it. Thanks very much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.